takes us back to the idea of banking as a control mechanism, but I think this time for businesses.
Well, for censorship, amongst other things. So, over the years, we've been reporting on deplatforming of various people by the banks and by the payment processors. Nigel Farage, Coutts Bank is one example, if we can put that on screen. And PayPal, a serial offender with Consortium News, the Free Speech Union and Toby Young, and MintPress, just to name a few. Let me introduce you to this website, Banki. This has been produced by Talk Liberation, which is a privacy-focused software development organization which is building a new social media platform called Panquake. They've announced they're suing an Icelandic bank, Iceland's Banki, in court. Now joining me to discuss this today is John Kiriakou. John, I hope I pronounced your surname correctly. Welcome to the program. First of all, tell us about Talk Liberation and what you're doing with Panquake.
Talk Liberation is the parent company of Panquake. Panquake itself was established about 5 years ago, actually exactly 5 years ago, as a privacy and transparency focused social media platform. It's transformed into something bigger than that. It's transformed into something now that is designing software using open source code that would allow people to, for example, surf the internet without being tracked. The Panquake social media platform itself would allow people to do essentially what they do on any of the big platforms, but without being tracked, without being followed, without being sent to one place or another by algorithms, something that's completely transparent and yet protective of individual privacy.
So the bank in Iceland, what did they do and what was the impact on the work that you were doing?
Well, back in 2002, the bank here in Iceland, Iceland Banki, arbitrarily, capriciously, simply froze Panquake's accounts without any explanation. It froze the accounts, which in turn froze the seed money, which in then turn froze development of all these wonderful products and services that the company was developing. They did this under counterterrorism and counter money laundering laws, but didn't provide any explanation. And then finally, just as arbitrarily, lifted the freeze and let the money go, which, when you think about it, is almost an admission that they did so improperly in the first place.
So when you say they let the money go, did they reinstate your bank account or did you have to get a bank account somewhere else?
They reinstated the bank account, again, without any explanation at all. And so what we ended up doing at Panquake was hiring WikiLeaks attorneys here in Iceland to go after the bank. At the very least, we want an explanation as to why this happened, why they would interfere, and who put them up to it. Was this a decision that was taken by the bank itself? Was it taken by the Icelandic government? Was it taken by a foreign government or foreign entity asking the Icelanders to do such a thing? We just don't have any answers to these questions.
And I mean, holding on to somebody's money for 9 months, clearly intended to put them out of business. How have you managed to keep going, or how did you manage to keep going over that period of time then?
Yeah, that's a great question. We were very fortunate to have investors who really were committed to the company. And so the money additional money was able to make its way in, and we continued development. In fact, here we are, despite this setback, this multi-year setback, and we have almost 24 employees. Coding continues on, and we're ready to come out with multiple products.
So what kind of legal action are you intending to take?
Well, we're suing the bank, and I have to be honest with you, this has been a learning experience for me personally. I'm American. I'm not used to the Icelandic method of justice. I only learned recently when I went to one of the preliminary hearings here in Reykjavik that the justice system here is set up on what they describe as the German model. So there's no discovery in the American sense, in that you can't have the judge command that that the other side turn over relevant documents, for example. You almost have to have a premonition that there are documents out there related to the case, and you have to specifically ask for them. And then you go into court and you say, we want documents A, B, C, and D. The judge turns and says to the other side, do you have such documents? They say yes or no. If the answer is no, then you're out of luck. If the answer is yes, you may get your documents. So it's very drawn out. And it's almost as though the deck is stacked. But it also then gives you a sense of how right WikiLeaks was to finally force a settlement in its case, and how right so far Panquake is that the bank backed off in the first place and released the funds.
So are you optimistic?
We are optimistic. The thing is right and wrong is wrong. And we knew from the beginning that we were right. We knew that there were powerful forces against us, whether they were here in Iceland or in the United States or in Europe. We knew we would have to fight these fights. And these fights have presented themselves. We have won so far. We are willing to not just go forward here in Iceland, but go forward until the bitter end. And we're confident we're going to come out ahead.
Okay, well, we'll wish you all the best on that. I'm going to say, John, thank you very much for joining us today. Details of the websites will be in the show notes, of course, and hopefully we'll hear more from you in the not too distant future. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, John. Thanks.